good evening, or good morning, or perhaps good noon, or good night. Whatever time it is for you now. Welcome. My name is Audrey, or on Instagram, I go by Ominous Pug. I guess this YouTube channel is going to be called Ominous Pug too, because I got no other names, man. Anyways, this is going to be a introduction for making Koi ni Naritai aquarium, Chica. That's the one I'm making. Eventually I will be making dye as well. Technically this is the third time I'll be making this cosplay. Not Chica specifically, but I have made Yo twice before, and they were very early. So we don't talk about those. But now that I am almost 3 years into my sewing progression, I'm ready to take another shot at it. The Koi ni Naritai aquarium cosplays are something that are very fun, very poofy, so I'm excited to take a swing at it. For, I guess, introduction purposes, because this is supposed to be a tutorial of sorts, I would recommend having a sewing machine. My phone is currently balanced on my sewing machine so I can get a decent angle. You're going to want references of your cosplay. And the last thing is, or that at least I would recommend, is doing a quick breakdown of all the little pieces of your cosplay and kind of how you want it all to come together and how you want things to mesh. Usually when I'm making cosplays, I'll usually dedicate at least a page in my sketchbook to it. I usually end up doodling at work about like little specific minute things. So I just like to give myself a rundown of specifically the pieces, break it up into chunks. Usually when I'm making cosplays, I'll break it up into top, bottom, and accessories as a whole, and then kind of go from there. So yeah, sewing machine, sketch page of whatever you're doing, and a nice drink of choice. Mine is hot chocolate today. Alright, let's get in. So this is going to be my spread of fabrics. I'm not too sure if I'm going to use all of them, because this is a lot of fabric. When I made my other ones, I definitely did not use this amount of fabric, but I am going for more of a live show look, so that's why I did get a nice chunk of tulle to make that skirt look nice and poofy, because that's what idol outfits are all about, being poofy and cute. All of these are from SY Fabrics. These are from Walmart. This stuff here is also from the Dollar Tree. This is also Walmart, as well as the thread. And that is what we will be messing around with. What is this? Walmart done me dirty. So yeah, let's jump into it. So these are going to be the straps that go around the shoulders and like over the chest. And I'm just going to put a little bit of ribbon on them in the middle to give them that accent. So I've just top stitched the ribbon right onto this, and then sewed the two chunks together. And this is going to be for the waistband. It's this curved thing that is just, this is folded in half, but this is going to be for the waistband, and then the ribbon will go along here. So I'm going to be getting a little more complicated with the bottom part, with the skirt. I'm going to make a pair of safety shorts underneath. So next up, I've got tulle. I've got it into just some rectangles. And I'm going to hem it real quick and then feed it through the machine to ruffle it up. As much as I'd like to send it through my serger, I don't think it's going to look too good. So we're gonna blind hem it, or not blind hem it. We're gonna do a rolled hem. Oops. So the camera's not gonna pick it up that much, but we've got our first rolled hem. So now that it's all folded over, we got a nice, clean, somewhat clean hem. Most of the time people aren't going to be looking at your hems, so don't get too too crazy about it unless you're trying to compete. So if you're following this tutorial to try to compete, good luck. You may want to be a little bit cleaner with everything. Take your time with doing your stitches and your hems. Fold everything over neatly. The video does not show it, but I can see it because I'm the one that made it. Hems a little uneven. Once you ruffle it, nobody's gonna know. So I got a bunch of tulle. It's all hemmed and put together. So now put it through the sewing machine. So how you want to do that is you want to set your tension pretty low, not all the way to 0, but almost to 0. You're going to do your normal stitch, make it nice and long. And then you're just going to feed it in normally. So now I'm going to do that for all of this. We're on day 2! So today what I'm going to be doing is I have a stencil to mark up some scallops. I'm going to take this nice silky fabric I have. It goes kind of decently in between the yellow and the orange, so I'm going to use it as a kind of transition fabric to go. So I'm going to make some scallops of these. I'm not too sure if I'm going to hem it with my serger or if I'm just going to roll hem it yet. First we're going to cut it out and see what works with it. Okay, so I actually realized that doing line is not going to help me with what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to mark up a circle skirt on it real quick. I don't think I'm going to cut it out just yet, but I'm going to mark up a circle skirt and then do this around the edge of the circle skirt. So now that we're doing a circle skirt, I'm going to do a quick tutorial on how to do a circle skirt. They are so easy, and once you kind of get the gist of it, it's like the easiest thing to make. So first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pull up a circle skirt calculator website. There's a few online. I always use the one where it's like made by London. You just put in your measurements and then choose what type of circle skirt you're doing. I'm doing a full circle here, so I have it folded in half twice. So we have 1, 2, and then 3, 4 on the bottom. This is the corner of everything. My waist radius, I believe, is 5 1/4. So we're just going to take our ruler, put it right up to the edge, and we're going to start marking in an arch, a quarter of a circle, about 5.5 inches away. And then you want to make sure the edge of that ruler stays on that corner. Alright, so I have it marked roughly 5 1/4-ish. We can always cut off more later, but we have our quarter of a circle here. And then I'm only going to make the skirt about 12 inches long because I am a short little bitch. I don't have to make my skirt that long for how long I am. So I'm just going to measure out 12 inches and do the same. I'm going to do a secondary curve around the edge. For most skirts, that's normally where you would kind of cut everything up, make sure it fits, and then trim from there. But since we are going to be adding our scallop on, I'm going to mark it down and then mark the scallops around the edge. So I have my little template and I just went around here. I'm going to cut it out real quick and show you what it looks like. So this is the completed cut. We got a nice big circle skirt, and this is going to unfold twice. If I can grab it. So this is going to look pretty for about 10 seconds. If I start waving this fabric around, it's going to start disassembling itself. So I'm going to start feeding it into my sewing machine as fast as I can. But I just wanted to show we have ourselves a circle skirt, and it looks like a circle, hence the name. This is like basics of idol cosplay. Circle skirt. Once you have a circle skirt, you're set. Alright, so this is going to be like the randomest hack that's like sprinkled into everything. But you know how you have your normal spools, and you have the end of the thread that's poked through here? You ever just struggle with, you know, pulling it out? I haven't struggled in years, because I realized I can just use the seam ripper. And I don't know how well I'm going to be able to catch this, but if you just poke, usually if you just poke it in and try to aim for, here it goes. Try to catch that little bit that goes up, seam rip it, and you've got yourself some easy thread. Boom, baby. Alright, one more hack I got for you guys. If you guys are planning on using a very specific type of thread, then I recommend getting a bobbin case. And when you're winding up your bobbin, so that way you don't have to like stop everything you're doing, rewind the bobbin up when it runs out, and then just keep going back and forth. Get a package of these. It's like $10 off of Amazon, if even that. I think this was like $8 when you're filling up your bobbin. Don't be afraid to do, you know, more than one at once, so that way you have it at the ready. You don't have to rethread every single time, and you just have it there. So I've made 3 bobbin threads, so that way I don't have to switch it. So we have all of it hemmed. It's a little wrinkly, but a little bit of an iron will fix that up. Good evening. I just showed off my ginormous forehead. Excuse me. We are on day 3, and today we are joined by Nugget. Hi, Nugget. I think he wants to go out. He's had enough. So last night we finished up hemming everything. I remembered that I have a hem foot, which helped roll the hem really nicely. So it makes it nice and clean and even. So tonight I'm gonna ruffle this all up. I think I'm going to assemble a half circle skirt to put underneath. That way I can have something to attach all of the fabric to, instead of just putting it on the shorts. It's always good to not have a bunch of hems poking at you and stuff. Today I went out and treated myself to a very nice cutting mat, so now I can cut nicely. Very nice kit. So yeah, let's go. So for whatever reason with this tool, apparently I've got to turn my tension up for it to ruffle, because it was not ruffling for a bit, but now that we turn the tension up, it's ruffling. So if something's not working, don't be afraid to mess around with your sewing machine a little bit. Don't just give up, and try a few different things. I do just want to let you guys know that the half circle skirt is a different measurement than the full circle skirt. So I'm going to link the circle skirt calculator that I use down in the description, but it's the same thing, just make sure you select half circle instead, because the waistline will be a different length. For this one it was 11 inches away from the seam. This one's only folded in half once. But yeah, I have 11 inches for the half circle skirt, but for the full circle skirt, it's usually around 5 or so. So just make sure you have the right skirt selected when you're doing your calculator, okay? Alright, so right now I'm pinning it to my half skirt. This is going to be my yoke, as it's called, Y-O-K-E. So I'm going to start from the bottom to the top. If you're going to be doing a bunch of different layers, you want to choose one direction and go and sew in that way. So I'm going to start from the bottom and then go towards the top, or alternatively you could start from the top and go to the bottom. Alright, so I've put my bottom 2 tools on, just a few different layers surrounding the edge. You can kind of see the thread clearer, and it's looking pretty poofy so far. Alright, so I've put my scallop skirt on top. I did have to shorten it a little bit to make sure that the rest of the poof was visible. And now I'm just putting the sparkle tool I have just right on top at the edge. So I'm going to put this on, and then I'm going to cut yet another circle skirt to put on top of that, and that's going to be our last circle skirt for this. And then we throw it all together. Alright, so I have my glitter tool attached, and I am noticing that now that I have it on the mannequin, that the top part isn't really that poofy because I attached the tool towards the end. So I think what I'm going to do is, once I have this all attached, I'm probably going to go back in, make another layer of tulle or something just to put up here to give it a little poof up top. I don't know how good this video is going to come out, but I did a circle skirt, and then I cut like half of a circle skirt as well to add in, and then I ruffled it up nicely and pinned it with the ruffles, and now we're gonna sew. We're back in the shed. I believe we're on day 4 now. We've got some nice hot chocolate. It is raining, so there's some very nice ambiance right now, and we were gonna start the shirt today. So I'm just going to be working with the white fabric right now. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the white fabric and then have the orange as kind of a liner or like behind it. Alright, so this is what the top is shaping up to be. I am going to put I forget what it's called, a triangle kind of fold in here. But right now I have the two sides of it, and then it's going to be basted onto the orange, so that way I can do all the little special things. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and satin stitch the edges, so that way I can get that scallop. And here are my back pieces. They're a little bit smaller. I do also plan on putting a corset backing along here. I am going to be lending this to a friend who's a little bit smaller than I am, so I'm going to put a nice little corset backing along here, so that way she's able to use it. So I'm working on the back, and I just realized what I can do is hem around the edges, flip it inside out like I've done here. I'm going to have to undo the stitches for this one, so that way I can throw some ribbon into it to give it that loop. So I'm going to put a bunch of loops along the edge here just to sew it in, so that way they poke out like this and they're sewn straight into it. So this is my final product for one half of the back panel, but since I've got the orange under it, it kind of acts like a lining, so I don't have to worry about coverage or anything. Alright, so this is the top partially, I guess, assembled. We've got the corset backing. I do have a dart. I remember the correct name for it. This is called a dart, so it's just a slit. I wish I could put into words exactly how I sewed this, but basically I had it just flat out like I showed you before, and then I sewed this edge up to here, flipped it inside out, and then folded this hem in, and then just sewed it flat on top. I was testing some stitches on my scrap fabric. My sewing machine, if I come over here, has these fancy stitches down here. It takes this, and then I go to 4 and 8, and I'm going to turn that up to 6 because that was a stitch length that I liked. If I really wanted to, I probably could go longer, but I think this is a good length for the scallops. So I'm just going to feed it through along this edge here, and we'll see how it looks. A nice cup of warm tea. I have rice instead. So right now I'm messing around with my machine for our final bit of the top. I have to make the scallops on the bottom orange part, and I was in the shower last night kind of brainstorming how I wanted to do it, and the great idea, because whenever I do scallops, they always, you know, this was just through the machine stitch, but when I'm hand sewing, or when I'm sewing and feeding the fabric in myself for the scallops, it doesn't really work out. So I thought, why don't I give the free quilting foot, I think that's the word for it, the free motion quilting foot, a try. So you lower your feed dogs, which I just learned how to do. You flip the switch on the back, so right now it's on lowered, and then if you flip it back, they'll pop back up. So yeah, I have them lowered right now. I'm gonna do a few tests, just doing some scrap fabric, and we'll see if it will work out well for the scallops. And so we have completed our little test. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a strip of fabric around as kind of a lining, do the scallop edges like that, and then flip it inside out best I can. Alright, so I've just serged the edge of this real quick, serged it to the edges, and I probably should make a template real quick to chalk around the edges, so that way I have a guide. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll feed it through that, and then I'll be right back. So we got scallops. They're definitely not the cleanest. Now I believe I'm just going to run some lines along the white fabric from the white scallops, and then I think it's time to put everything together. Alright, so I've just been kind of banging this out. I have these nice tubes for my arms. It's just stretchy fabric. It was like 10 inches wide and then 12 inches vertically. A little bit of ruffle, and bam. Right now I'm working on the wings. My plan for them is I have one of these has 2 buttonholes sewn onto it, and I have 2 buttons up here. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to ruffle up a whole bunch of tulle again. I have it cut, I believe it was, this was like 12 inches. This was 9 inches, and I think that was 6 inches, the white. I'm going to layer it on top of it, so I got the glitter, then I'm going to put the regular orange, and then the white on top, and then I'm going to sandwich it all onto one of these, attach the buttons onto it, so that way I can just button the wings onto it. I'm going to put that on the back, so that way I can access the zipper. So all that's left is the wings, putting the strap on for the bow, and finishing up the back and the neck piece. So yeah, back to ruffling. Hello, I think it's day 6 or 7, I'm not too sure. I've lost track, but we are finishing the shirt today. Right now I'm just slowly throwing things together and adding things onto the band. So right now, so this is just like an insert for where the corset backing will be. I have my tee today. Yes, I love having my tee. So right now I'm putting the corset back piece on, and then I'm going to sew the band to everything. I have this is the part that's gonna go like around the neck. I'm gonna sew that on, and then we'll add the zipper. Alright, so here we are. We have everything attached. Everything is attached to the loop. What I have here is I have the buttons, and I found out my machine can do little letter embroidery, so I was playing around with that. Added a little Chica embroidery. The buttonholes on the back here may seem weird, but what I plan to do is I'm going to put buttons on the wings. I have them over here. And whenever I find my hand sewing needles, I'm going to hand sew the buttons to this, actually on the back, so that way I can just put the buttons in there, and then this is going to close up and cover up the zipper. And bam. So now comes the most nerve-wracking part, cutting this to put the zipper in. I normally don't plan too much for this stuff, for this step. I know sometimes people will plan ahead and they'll, serge everything and cut pieces accordingly. I do that once in a blue moon. So I'm just gonna cut a nice straight strip down here, and I have a nice zipper. I believe this is probably about 14 inches. And that's just gonna go right down there. Alright, so I just wanted to show you guys, I went back in with this thing, the free motion quilting foot, just because I didn't entirely like the raw edging poking out, so I just went in with a tight zigzag stitch and just went in and covered up as much as I could, as best as I could, so now it looks a little more even. Honestly, you could go in with these types of scallops on it, but honestly, I like the way that this looks. I like the flatness to it. It makes it feel more like the art itself, like how it looks animated. So that's how that looks. I have it all completed, almost. I just have to fix up the top here, and then there was the headband I gotta finish up. But she is a top, not a bottom. Ah! So this is the top. We've got that satin stitching, almost curvature. And then we got the bow. That's attached to the top. And then if I flip this over, all the armbands are attached to this band. We have the corset. Added a little decoration there. I have the buttonholes made, and then that clips in. That zips all the way up to the top. Gotta trim that thread there. But the buttonholes for this are for the wings, because I put the buttons on and they just pop in like that, and it's nice and centered. You may need a friend to do that, but, you know, it's always good to have a buddy when you're cosplaying. Alright, so while I'm finishing up Chica and I'm on the last bit right now. Right now I'm working on her headband. So this is just from the Dollar Tree. You get a pack of 3 for 1. And yeah, it looks pretty ugly, right? Ew, disgusting. This could never. All you gotta do, this was 2 inches by, I think, 16 inches. Make it a tube, inside out, and then you pop it over, slide it in, and boom, you have got yourself a nice fabric thingy headband. I was gonna sew this on somehow with this nice ruffle that I made, but I think I'm just gonna hot glue it, so that way I don't lose much of this excess that I have, because I don't have a lot, because I didn't think about the ruffles when I was sewing it. So I'm going to just fold this inwards, and then I'm gonna give that edge a sew. Excuse me, and then I'm gonna hot glue this on, and I have a complete headband. Boom! So while I wait for my hot glue gun to warm up, I definitely did not use all of the fabric that I bought. I think I still have at least 2 yards of orange fabric, orange tulle, which I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with. I don't cosplay characters that are orange often and need orange tulle, so we'll figure out what to do with that. I do also have some darker tulle and other tulle, lots of tulle. I got lots of tulle by accident. Well, not by accident. I did it on purpose, thinking that I would need a lot. And I did not need all that I needed. Definitely was fun. Definitely was a fun project. Banged it out in like a week. The main reason I finished it up so fast was because my next few projects are really exciting to me. My LEDs just came in today, so I was rushing to complete it so that way I could start messing around with my LEDs and all looking all cute. Yeah. If you watch this video, if you learned anything from it, thanks for sticking around. Glad you learned something from it. Even if I'm not the best video maker or, you know, teacher, I guess, making cosplays is something that I've basically taught myself from the ground up. I've figured out how to make my own patterns. I figured out how to pretty much do everything through YouTube and Google. So now that I kind of know what I'm doing, I figured, you know, why not help out other people? So it's probably going to be the first video that goes up on the channel, if not one of the first few, because I don't know if I'm going to cut it up, because I don't know how long it's going to be. I got to start editing it. So yeah, anyways, thanks for watching me make a cosplay and, you know, learn a few things, learn different methods. You know, there's all sorts of ways you can make things. You know, even if my method doesn't work out for whatever you're doing, you know, maybe it works out for somebody else, or it works out for another cosplay you do. You learn things for one project, and then you do it in another project. That's how cosplaying is. So yeah, peace.